Okay, so welcome everyone. Today on the Cumbria Business Growth Hub podcast, we're joined by Claire Aindow, Pro Vice Chancellor for Growth and Development at the University of Cumbria. In this episode, we're going to be talking all about Claire's new role and the university more broadly, and we'll also be discussing the exciting development of the university's new Barrow campus. Welcome to the podcast, Claire.
Thanks so much, Joe. It's great to be here.
Thanks for coming on. Can you tell us a bit about your background and what drew you to join the University of Cumbria as Pro Vice Chancellor for Growth?
Thanks so much, Joe. This opportunity at the University of Cumbria is a once-in-a-career opportunity because the amount of energy that's coming out of the university in terms of developments for this region is absolutely astonishing. I've worked for institutions before who have been very connected to the place in which they're located. But I don't think I've ever seen it to the extent that I'm seeing it and witnessing it here at the University of Cumbria. Everybody is pulling in the same direction with our partners, with the regional agencies, to create opportunities and growth for our region, for Cumbria and North Lancashire. And it's an absolutely thrilling thing to witness, and it's a thrilling thing to be part of. When we're looking at what the University of Cumbria is doing directly, the development of the Citadels project in Carlisle, we've got the Pears Cumbria School of Medicine, we've got the new development at Barrow, which I know we're going to talk about in a little while. But we've also got a huge amount of energy in aligning what we do at the university with what business and what the region needs. So linking in with our ecosystems. So when you're faced with all of that as an educator and as somebody who is has a background in business, how are you not going to want to be part of that? So, of course, when I saw this role at the University of Cumbria, I was immediately fired up and threw everything at it because I really, really wanted to be part of this development and this growth period here at the university. Thrilled to get the job. I seem to have been spending a lot of time over the last few weeks being thrilled one way or another, but this is really an absolutely outstanding opportunity for me. And because I've got a history and a kind of background in both higher education, I've been an educator for over 30 years, and in business, I ran my own business for 15 years. So I'm very well placed to understand the challenges, particularly of small businesses. It means that I can speak to different stakeholders and understand their challenges and what they need to make their lives easier and to make their businesses flourish. So I think that's probably what I bring to the role, but that's certainly what attracted me, that amazing hybrid of industry, regional relevance, education, and growth.
So much exciting stuff happening at the university. What does your role entail, and what are your main priorities in this position?
With so much going on here at the university, the temptation is to try and stick my fingers into as many pies as possible because it is all so exciting. But actually, I'm one of a cadre of 4 Pro Vice Chancellors here at the university. I'm Growth and Development. Then my colleague Jonathan is Pro Vice Chancellor for Learning and Teaching. My colleague Kathy is Pro Vice Chancellor for Student Journey, and she's Academic Registrar. And then the newest of our 4, Professor Zalvali, who's joining us next week, is Pro Vice Chancellor for Research and Knowledge Exchange. And that really is a very clear indication from the university of how we expect to grow. And that's why we need this level of additional senior management support. And really what we're looking at is the areas of focus for the university. So growth and development, learning and teaching, student experience, research and knowledge exchange. Each one of us has a portfolio that's going to be critical going forward. So for me, growth and development, I'm all about portfolio. I'm all about what we offer at the university and how we make sure that that aligns with what our ecosystems, the ecosystems that surround us, need. And those ecosystems are, of course, business and industry. They are civic society. There are communities. There are third sector, other educational providers and partners. We, as a university, have a responsibility to make sure that we are providing super high quality, cutting edge, higher education that will help support the regional need. So what is it that our ecosystems need? What is it that we are all going to need to develop and grow? And how can we as a university provide it? And it's not just about us following what industry and our ecosystems are telling us. It's also about us leading that, because clearly we are doing cutting edge things at the university ourselves. And so we expect to be able to, it to be a two-way street where we influence what's going on in our region. So I think my job is going to be about listening to industry, reaching out and hoping that industry, in seeing me and also my colleagues, will be reaching in to us and seeing how we can support in that way, developing those two-way conversations and creating opportunities through the innovation that we can put forward in the way that we deliver for the region.
So as this is the Cumbria Business Growth Hub podcast, there'll be a lot of businesses listening and some of our chamber members as well. What opportunities do you see for the university to strengthen its ties with the local business community?
Well, partners like Cumbria Business Growth Hub are absolutely essential for us, and they're essential for me. Being able to work with agencies within the region that exist already and to have those networks of contacts are really important. And of course, we know that there are anchor institutions in the region. We know who they are, and we're delighted to work with them very closely. But there are also lots and lots of slightly less visible small and medium-sized enterprises that we also want to engage with, and we also want to represent in terms of the work that we're doing. So it's really important for me to network, and luckily for me, most networking opportunities also seem to involve cake and food, which is great. So I was absolutely delighted to do that. But it's really important for me to get out there into the region, make myself visible and accessible so that I can have those conversations and listen. And it's really interesting, even in the short time that I've been here, I'm already hearing consistent conversations about certain subject areas or certain areas of growth that industry doesn't feel is necessarily being supported in the region, that give us clear pathways to work also with our other partners in other educational sectors, so further education colleges, to create pathways with a direct line of sight to the employment that our region needs, but also our businesses need to sustain themselves. So I think in answer to your question, I'm going to be reaching out. I want businesses to reach in, and that way is our best chance through agencies such as yourself and also through other partners to actually hear those messages that businesses are telling us.
You're someone that's run your own business before, and so you've got that background within both higher education and industry. How does this perspective influence your approach to this role and kind of when you're engaging with businesses as well?
It's a really good question, because of course every business has its own unique challenges, and I think, you know, to try and homogenize business as a single entity is a mistake. Having said that, there are always challenges that all businesses will face, and I think certainly for small businesses, cash flow, understanding the value of time, the fact that there may be aspirations for the business, but trying to hit that aspiration at the correct time for the business can be really difficult. And I think understanding the day-to-day challenges that businesses can face simply in operation is a perspective that I think I bring to this role. I would hope it's a certain amount of empathy as to what businesses, particularly small businesses, are facing, the challenges that they face, and the sheer vocational nature and the energy that is required to create something from nothing, which is what a lot of entrepreneurs are actually doing. And then, of course, when we're looking at our bigger businesses, that constant striving for growth, for sustainability, for moving forward into the next level, all of these factors are things that perhaps with an pure academic head on, you wouldn't necessarily be responding to. But I think I bring those different facets, which is where I can see what businesses are looking for, what challenges they face, and what stresses there are and tensions there are in everyday operation. But I can also then look at how we can provide solutions in an innovative way from a higher education perspective without making business necessarily fit into what we're doing? How can we change what we're doing to fit into what business needs?
That's brilliant. And just one final question for this first half of the episode. How do your personal connections to the Northwest shape your vision for the growth of the university and development in Cumbria?
So I am Northwestern born and bred. I was born in Manchester. I've lived in the Northwest all my life. I spent a lot of time in Cumbria as a child. My dad, who was highly entrepreneurial, in fact, both of my parents ran their own businesses, their own individual businesses. My dad, who was highly entrepreneurial, had all kinds of schemes when he was young, when I was a child, one of which was messing about with boats on Windermere. So I do remember spending a lot of my childhood messing around with boats. My brother was a professional cricketer. He had his first professional run out with Cumberland. So I remember coming and watching him play cricket up here. So huge amounts of, I spend most weekends in Barrow or in places around, so looking at Walney Island. I'm a bird nerd, so I like to be up here engaging with nature and engaging with the landscape. So Cumbria has a hugely special place in my memory, in my heart, and in my current life. The Northwest, with its particular challenges, but with its exceptional opportunities, resources, and people. These are my people, this is my region, this is my family, these are my neighbours. So for me, it's a very, very visceral thing to come here and work to do my best to improve opportunities for people here. This is my space, my patch. And so I do feel that it is personal.
Give me your top bird to see in Cumbria.
Oh, my top bird. Oh, right. Well, this is all very exciting. Well, you get an awful lot on Walney Island, of course. When you're not looking at the seals, you can have a look at stuff. I've seen my favourite bird of all time is the curlew, which I know others may find to be quite mundane, but I love curlews because their call is so mournful and particularly evocative. So whenever I'm on the coast, I'm looking for Mr. Curlew.
Lovely. Bird watching advice as well as growth and development
You
advice
get it
there.
all here, Joe. You get it all here.
Fantastic. So sticking with the south of the county and Barrow, this new Barrow campus has been described as a huge step towards addressing education gaps in Cumbria. What's the difference that facility is going to make?
Immeasurable. It's absolutely immeasurable what's going to happen, because I think, well, we know already that there's a higher education cold spot in that region. By developing a campus, the University of Cumbria campus in Barrow, we are sending a really strong signal that higher education is for the people of Barrow, for the region, and that it is for you, it is for us, it is for anyone to access who has those aspirations. It's going to be, it's a beautiful building. It's very prominently situated on Barrow Island. And I think it's a landmark in lots of different ways. It's a literal landmark in that people will be able to see it, but it's also a landmark in terms of the partnership agreements and partnership working that's taken place in order for it to exist in the first place, with Team Barrow, with local authorities, with British Aerospace, in supporting that development. It is a landmark in terms of a signal to the community that higher education is for us in this region. And I think it is going to be a landmark in how higher education can be delivered, because we are going to be doing things differently in Barrow, and we're going to be, a lot of the decisions about how we're going to be using that campus are still being fleshed out, but they are, very much about responding to the need in the region. And so people who live in Barrow, to encourage people into Barrow, we need more people in the region. So it's part of a larger growth perspective in Barrow. I don't think that development can be underestimated in terms of its importance and in terms of its signalling strength, that landmark nature of what we're actually doing down there.
What programs will the new campus offer to students, and how have these been chosen to align with business needs in the area?
Thanks, Joe. The programmes that we're going to be starting with in September 2025 are mechanical engineering, adult nursing, and computer science. And the computer science one is going to be split between Lancaster and Barrow in the first instance. Those programmes have been selected, first of all, mechanical engineering, because of our links with British Aerospace and also the strong engineering reputation of the region. I think engineering is going to be a growth area for the university, and it's wonderful to have that starting in Barrow, where it is so representative of the types of activity that go on in Barrow. Adult nursing is absolutely satisfying a need, and we have very strong links to health provision in Cumbria. And of course, as I said right at the beginning, we've just launched the Pears Cumbria School of Medicine up in Carlisle. So there's a lot of interactivity between what we're doing in Barrow and what we're going to be doing in Carlisle. So it's an interesting piece that will bring together lots of things that we're already doing. Those programmes are going to be our starting point. But of course, our intention is to create a hub there, a hub of higher education. And those discussions are still carrying on even now as to what that will look like. But I think the critical point that I would want to get across is that it is for Barrow, it's for and from Barrow. And the intention is that not only are we going to be supporting people who are in Barrow who perhaps want to change their career or had aspiration to go to university perhaps and didn't do so, and also bring people into Barrow as part of a much bigger regeneration project in Barrow that we're privileged to be part of, working with our partners. So we will make sure whatever programmes do eventually come out from that campus, that they are targeted really at the need in that region.
How do you think that having this educational offering in Barrow will impact the advanced manufacturing and health sectors that are so strong in the area?
I'm hearing from lots of people that I'm having conversations with, even in the short time that I've been at the university, that there are sector gaps. There are areas where there is demand for skilled workforce and there isn't the supply to satisfy that demand. So part of the purpose of this development is to make sure that there is a pipeline with, as I said before, that line of sight to future jobs, to current and future jobs. Of course, when you have a skilled and employed workforce, then that has knock-on effects on all of the peripheral activities that skilled workforces require: housing and leisure facilities and opportunities to spend money and so on. So it has a huge cumulative knock-on effect on the local area. So we anticipate that this development will end up having an impact that actually is far greater than the apparent sum of its parts, because it is starting a ball rolling. It's like a snowball effect, isn't it? It's starting the ball rolling of an uplift in that region.
Finally, in terms of community engagement, what measures have been being put in place to ensure that local students and residents in Barrow engage with the higher education opportunities that are available?
Well, we've got a very comprehensive marketing strategy, which our hardworking marketing teams are putting in place already. We've got 2 members of staff at the university who are Barrovians and so are very, very integrated into the landscape in Barrow, and they are leading on some of the initiatives that we're putting in place in Barrow. I think we are trying to do things differently there. So some of the marketing that we're doing is very direct. It's more like outreach rather than posters on walls. It's more about getting out into the community and making sure people are aware of the offer that we're putting forward. So, which doesn't mean to say that there won't be posters on hoardings, but it is more about outreach and having those conversations that give people an understanding of how this is really for them. Because often we find people have an aspiration to do something, but they can't quite see how they could fit it with their life as it exists at the moment, or the barriers that they experience. So part of the outreach work is to break down those barriers and show how we could make this a real possibility for people. So outreach and making it authentic and linked to the region is the way that we're taking this forward.
Fantastic. That's really interesting. And I feel like we could do a few more podcasts with everything that's going on at the university. Before we wrap up, is there any final messages you'd like to kind of get out to businesses about plans for the university?
Oh, thanks so much, Joe. Yes, I would love to say to all the businesses out there that our intention to link with you is absolutely authentic. This is why I'm here, absolutely why I'm here, but it's what the university wants to base its future growth on. And we're not growing for growth's sake. There's no self-aggrandizement here by the university. We want to grow so that we are better positioned to support the region. And that region, the beating heart of the region, is our businesses. And without that impetus from business, none of us can do anything. So that's why I'm so grateful to have the opportunity to say to people, if you see me, come and say hello. If you don't see me, I'm going to do my absolute best to come and find you and talk to you and listen to you. We are absolutely ready to respond and ready to lead.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Claire. And we really look forward to continuing working with the university here at the Chamber and seeing all of these great plans come to fruition. So thanks very much.
Thanks so much, Joe. And any more information you need about cake or birds, then you can also come to talk to me about that.
Will do. Bye for now.
Thanks. Bye.